Hey, how we doing, guys?
Morning, everybody.
Uh, Joe here.
Kevin.
We are really in the meat and potatoes of the season of West Wing season 3. The last episode was a Century episode. So last week we talked about whether or not this is going to be the end of the MS, hearings, all that, all the
Right.
stress and drama in these people's lives that really strung the show along for the last season and a half. Is that over now?
I think a large chunk of it is. They still admitted that we're not done with Abigail and her situation
Yeah.
with the medical board.
So that'll be like the epilogue of it, probably.
Yeah, right. So that's still going on. It's we still have to get through the election, and I feel like it gets at least mentioned. I don't think it's going to be the focal point anymore. What I'm hoping is this. I'm hoping that whether it goes away or doesn't go away, we start actually having a political campaign where we have an opponent, where we start talking about other issues, like actual issues. I mean, I feel like in a show that's supposed to show the world what the political process is like and has done a great job of that for 2.5 seasons now. I feel like it needs to do that as well with the election cycle, right? We need to look at what are the bones of a presidential campaign. We've seen everything from Supreme Court hearings to a censure trial or a censure vote. Now show us what Aaron Sorkin's take on a presidential campaign is.
And I bet they're gearing up for that.
I think so. I feel like it should.
Obviously.
Right.
But we have all these other characters like Bruno.
Right.
We set them up at the very beginning of the season. They like to do that.
Right.
They like to plant little seeds at the beginning of the seasons, and they always follow through with it towards the end.
Absolutely.
And that's great television writing because it really strings along a storyline.
It does. It does.
So yeah, I'm curious to see that because I don't think I've seen that before. I mean, I've seen a little bit of House of Cards, and they kind of get into that. That's more intrigue and like behind the scenes, like unrealistic stuff.
Yeah, I liked House of Cards enough, really.
The first couple seasons,
right? But I feel like that was like really leaning into we're really writing a Greek tragedy.
It was more Machiavellian, yeah,
absolutely. Unless a show about how politics really works.
This is more of a procedural,
right? And it is in a great way with obviously Sorkin writing it. But I feel like that was kind of like. The politics goes off the rails so much in that is away from reality to more like be like an extreme, like I said, I feel like that's closer to Succession than it is to
I was going to say
to this
because we kind of saw it in Succession,
right?
Campaign trails a little bit, like the election episode of Succession was fantastic. It wasn't quite West Wing,
right,
but a little closer than House of Cards was.
It was. No, I feel like Succession was more grounded in reality than House of Cards was.
Exactly.
Not a critique. Not everything. No. Not everything has to be pure verisimilitude, right?
Yeah,
you can be largely symbolic and surreal. In whatever you're making,
different shows,
different type of art going on in this. Obviously, this is idealized, and people speak in brilliant monologues, and that's not really reality either. But so what? It's so compelling and so good.
I guess there's a movie that's close to that. Ides of March. You ever seen that with George Clooney?
I saw it one time. I liked it. Been a long time.
Ironically enough, one of the creators of House of Cards did that movie. So there you go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. We do want to welcome some new Patreon subscribers the last couple of days, guys. So Sherry Gwinther, Just Lily, James Lester, Eric Gustafson, Michael Barsana, and Lucy McGowan. Thanks so much, guys. And there's a lot of vowels in the last name. Sorry. Welcome, and we're glad you're here with us.
We really are. If you guys are watching this on YouTube for the first time, welcome to our channel.
Hey, guys.
If you don't mind hitting the like button for us, please leave us a comment down below. And if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on the new content we have coming your way.
If you'd like to see a full-length reaction to this and everything else we watched or watching, please check out a link in the description below to our Patreon page. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hop right over there now and see the next 4 episodes or so, depending on when you're watching this, 4 to 5 episodes. And just get it caught up to where we are in real time. So they're right there waiting for you. You'll need to sync and watch along on your own device. We're watching on Max. We also have 30 Rock going on right now over there as a Patreon exclusive, and we are early but loving it.
Yeah. The dials go from 0 to 100. They dial up if they like what he's saying. They dial down if they don't.
Oh, so State of the Union that we've been leading up towards.
Yeah.
So it's February.
What do the different lines mean?
Red's for Republicans, blues for Democrats, and greens for independents.
I don't think Sam would be fun to talk to while his State of the Union that he wrote is being read. Yeah.
Now you're cooking.
And to the enemies of freedom, the enemies of democracy, and brought to light and ended.
That's a number
I
spike.
said we nearly had one almost as big.
What was it?
We almost cured cancer.
Really?
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. And the openings to the show.
Oh, wait, the cold opens are always good.
amazing.
I'm kind of curious about the almost curing cancer thing.
What did I say about that?
You said not to talk to you.
Yet you're doing it anyway.
Yes, I am.
You're doing it again.
Look,
You're still doing it.
Amy.
I'm walking away now.
We'll wait for the overnights.
Lisa,
Josh?
still trying to get waved into Generation X?
Still Papa's jackass?
Oh, you betcha.
Jack Daniels.
You were gonna cure cancer.
We were going to say we were going to cure cancer. Curing it is someone else's department.
How does that work?
How does what work?
Deciding what you're gonna say.
The process begins 6 weeks beforehand with budget meetings.
Why budget meetings?
Because if we're introducing a new idea, people are going to want to know how we pay for it. Then we have the president's first thoughts meeting. That's when we all want to kill ourselves.
Why?
Because that's when the president tells us we're nowhere. We test new lines, and after a few
isn't
weeks
it?
of that,
This is really
process.
interesting, yeah.
you've still got a white piece of paper.
And so many people involved, too. It makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Late last night, early this morning, the president reached an agreement with the leadership to accept a congressional censure.
He's all right.
He's about to be censured, and then he's going to deliver the State of the Union, and then he's going to run for re-election.
When's the last time Congress rebuked a sitting president?
The Civil War.
And now, how do you...
Yeah.
And we can spin the censure as a bipartisan...
You can't spin a formal denunciation from the legislative branch. It spins itself.
I recommended that he take the censure, and if any of you'd been on the inside, you'd have recommended it too. Walks into the House chamber, they're all going to stand up.
Yeah.
Anyone here not believe this president can take it from there?
I'm glad Josh came in and kind of took control of this situation.
Guys, we're okay.
Yeah. This is how it is.
You know the writer.
Who?
Lisa
Okay, I
Sherborne.
think someone...
That's funny, because I used to be engaged to someone named Lisa Sherborne.
Wow. Okay.
Remember in the episode where Josh hired him?
Yeah.
The campaign, he said he was getting married?
Yeah.
Is the reason you guys didn't get married because her name would have been Lisa Sherborne Seaborn?
Yeah. That's the reason.
I have the first 20 minutes.
Okay.
Democrats, low to mid 50s. Republicans, high 30s.
Independence.
Low 40s. Wait for the rest of the dial groups.
Top line, crosstabs, whatever you get. And I got a bad feeling about tonight.
He just needs to be patient. I understand it, though.
He's got a lot going on with her there and everything.
How did curing cancer get cut from the State of the Union?
A lot of things got cut.
Curing cancer?
Hey, we had to cut a section about making government manuals easier to read, so...
I'm seeing Amy again tonight.
Second date?
A late drink.
Where are you going?
Wilson's. Piano player only seems to know one song.
Which song?
Little things with fur better hurry.
Chicks and ducks and geese better scurry?
From Oklahoma? Yeah.
I was happy when you said this morning that you recommended the censure. Your face didn't register much. Don't ask me about the speech. Wouldn't do it.
You know Amy's seeing somebody.
I do know that. You know who? John Tandy. Really? Yeah. Really? Yes.
So Toby's saying go for it.
Hey, who's the president having dinner with tonight? Friends of Abby.
It's probably all
STI.
doctors.
Yeah, I was gonna say
That's signal transduction
it'd be kind of a tough hang.
We're 10 years, $25 billion, and a good luck charm away from curing human cancer.
More than $25 billion.
He just said 10 years. I want to hear about this from the beginning. Talk to me like I'm not an oncologist.
Is this how this almost made it into the State of the Union?
That's probably why I got cut too. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was-
Everyone else talked him
Pipe
out of it, yeah.
So why didn't you get married?
That was the question I was hoping he was going to ask.
She didn't like me very much.
I think in the State of the Union, I can announce that I'm directing our researchers to have a cure for cancer in 10 years. Call everyone in.
Look, women's groups started hedging, saying there aren't enough women in Congress. Tandy needs women. Now
Yeah, I
hasn't
should have
endorsed
left
him.
this out.
And you are the door to women.
You think he's going around with me because he's afraid of Nan Lieberman?
I do.
He wants to find a cure for cancer, and he wants to say that in the State of the Union. You know what my response would be? Well, me too. If he doesn't park the State of the Union, and I mean deep, it'll be his last one.
A president stood up. He said, we will land a man on the moon before the end of the decade. Why shouldn't I stand up and say we are going to cure cancer in 10 years?
It'll be seen as a political ploy.
Why?
Using cancer to deflect attention from
You
MS.
think people with cancer care what my motives are?
Yes, sir.
Why shouldn't I do it?
I think you should. I think ambition is good.
The man's
Yeah,
about
we
to
save
get a
it for the next one.
congressional censure. He's trying to pull a rabbit out of his hat. What are you doing humoring him?
I'm not humoring him.
The speech is going to work fine. Don't overreact to the censure.
There is no speech yet.
He happens to be more feminist than the White House.
Feminine?
Feminist.
Josh, great night for us. We'll see. Amy, we're doing some pictures of the president
Oh my
in the
God.
yellow room.
That
Photo
might, exactly. That might be proving Josh right a little bit. He wants
Wow.
he wants
Look at
her
her.
in
She-
official
yeah.
photos.
Look at her.
Amy?
She just realized Josh is right.
This is good.
You know we can't do it.
Yeah. It was a good idea, though.
Yeah.
We have other good ideas.
Something happened at the half-hour mark.
What?
They remembered why they liked him in the first place. 2 days ago, 48% said he was able to handle his job effectively. Tonight, that number's 59. Strong leader? 69.
Yeah.
Good. See, yeah, and I think this what we talked about before the episode. I think this is the signal, right?
Yeah.
We're moving from the MS into the campaign
Good.
now. Yeah.
You'd have to be blind to not see how good of a president he is. You know what
Right.
I mean, like,
It's ironic that sort of a thing between us is I'm supposed to know the difference between flash and substance.
Sometimes a little flash is what's required. And it had to be done. There aren't 10 guys in the country who could write that speech.
I bet the cancer community can't wait to buy me a beer.
I'm gonna give my notes from tonight to someone else and let them finish the reporting over the next few weeks. You're obviously not comfortable with this.
CJ asked me a couple of weeks ago if the reason we didn't get married was because your name would be Sherborne Seaborn. Why didn't we
say
get
it 3
married?
times fast.
What do you think?
Because I don't know what the cool restaurant is and I don't care.
I didn't leave you. You left me. And you did it to do this. And the reason you're pissy and you're wondering if I'm gonna think you've been doing anything at all.
In 1940, our armed forces weren't among the 12 most formidable in the world. And Roosevelt said the U.S. would produce 50,000 planes in the next 4 years. Because it turned out we produced 100,000 planes. Give the Air Force an armada that would block the sun.
I love this.
Yeah.
Over the past half century, we've split the atom. We've spliced the gene. We will cure cancer by the end of this decade.
That was nice.
Yeah. It is.
I'll pass the notes along.
You deleted it?
Yeah, it's not. It's never going to be a thing. Yeah.
Save that Word document, you know?
That's right.
Put it in your draft.
Have the president sign it for you and hang it on your wall.
Yeah. So, okay.
In a Sam episode.
It was very much a. And I think the message was, you know, government should be more optimistic. He said that, you know, and
Right.
I agree. I do agree. I think in terms of the State of the Union here, obviously they had to take a different direction.
Right. The logistics of what it would look like.
Yeah.
The optics of you just got censured. Everyone that, I mean, you tell by the early numbers, everyone was tuning in for that. How does this guy respond to just being nationally embarrassed? And he won him over. It took half an hour, but he won him over. So, yeah, he's probably right. They were in no position to do it. And the rest of the staff was right. It would have read like a desperate distraction.
It would have. And I like that this president does not get hung up on the gossip, on the tabloids, on this weird voyeurism that we often refer to it as, that can be DC.
Sure.
You know, he's like, I'm here to do a job.
Yeah, I can't stand the fact that politicians are on Twitter so much now. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand
There's
it.
a lot about Twitter that I can't stand. I mean,
Right.
I use it often, and
I
in many ways,
use
it's a
it
good
for
thing.
sure.
You know, but you're right.
News and sports information. I use it for stuff like that.
Find stuff
To
out
see
in the
what
world.
comedians are doing. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the simple fact that so many politicians, and this isn't even really a left-right issue because it's both.
Yeah.
Although let's face it, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the worst example of a human being that has a Twitter account. But this idea that our politicians are not focused really on doing their job, that so many of them are there to be Twitter trolls. To like, I can get out the sickest tweet that's going to get the most traction, the most attention, and it'll make the other side angry, but my constituents will love it, and it'll help get me reelected because, oh, sick, I just burned the right or I just burned the left.
It goes on both sides.
It does. It does. No, I've seen people on the left be just as gross with it as people on the right.
It's all political mudslinging as well now.
Yeah, and I hate it so much.
And it's a more, you can reach more people with it, right?
It's a quick way of, it's like getting a camera in your face on a short, what are we, 280 characters now? Is that what it is? Something like that? That you can be like, I can fire off this really sick burn, and
then everybody and their moms
and everyone's going to retweet it, and everyone's going to read it, and everyone's going to argue about it, and
it's not just CNN and Fox anymore or C-SPAN. It's online.
Yeah, you don't need a camera. You don't need a camera to be gross anymore, and more importantly, you don't need to think before you do it.
That's the big one.
You don't have to take time and be reflective and be considerate and say, what are the implications of what I'm about to say in my position as a president, as a senator, as a someone in the House of Representatives? What are the implications of what I'm about to do on everyone that's going to read it? I don't have to think about that. I just need to get some traction.
How many opinions does one tweet form too? How many different opinions does that inform? And people walk away feeling that they know something because they saw it on Twitter.
Right.
It's insane.
I hate it. I know that's not really the point of the episode, but you're right. The optimism of this episode of like, let's try, Sam said it himself, right? We can remind people the government can actually be a force of good.
And they should lead by example.
Right.
And they should be leading by example. And that we should be, look, the 60s were a mess. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we did say in the 60s, we're going to be on the moon, and we accomplished that.
Right.
Look at out of all the hardships and all the struggles in American history and in world history, how we've evolved and how we've achieved so much greatness and how we just haven't been doing that. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
We have not been doing that recently, and it's infuriating.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel like so much of our like technological advancement over the last decade is this?
Yeah. It's a phone.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong way. It's a cell phone.
Or it's a robot dog.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, who cares?
I know the stuff's all important. I know we're making medical. I know we're being over simplistic. But the point I'm trying to make is, it feels like so much of the the technological advances we've made have been for completely commercial purposes and not the betterment of the world.
The last big one, I guess, was like COVID vaccines. That
was awesome.
But that was when push comes to shove.
Right.
It just kind of, forgive me, but does it not feel like we're kind of coasting?
These are big issues, right?
We're distracted by this political he said, she said. There's no bipartisanship. We can't get anything done.
Right. I think that's always been kind of the case.
It has been,
but I also think it's fair to say it's worse now than probably ever. Since there's a war between the North and the South, right? It's probably worse than any time then as far as polarization goes, and therefore nobody getting anything done. You look at Accenture, right? And we're talking here about what a big deal it is for a president.
Yep.
It wouldn't be today.
Also going back to the Civil War.
Right. Yeah, but it wouldn't be today.
No.
Because everyone's entrenched on their side. And if a president gets censured, everyone regardless of party, everyone on his side says it's fine, and everyone against him says it's the worst thing in the world. And if you flip the parties of the person that's being censured, you'd get the exact reaction on just the opposite direction.
And I think that does go back to Twitter. I think that plays huge into that.
I do. I think
Facebook, all these things are just informing us that are incorrect.
Yeah,
a lot of it's so incorrect.
Social media has given voice to things that probably shouldn't always have it. And I know that sounds anti-democratic, that sounds anti-First Amendment, but it's not. Uninformed opinions being shouted to the world and then being treated as fact really is a bad thing.
Luckily, they do have like the fact-checking things on
Twitter
now, so it says this is not real,
Right, yeah.
But still, people are going to believe, they want to believe ignorance is bliss.
Right. It's ugly, and again, it's not even about. I mean, what you're saying, truth versus falsehood, is one whole big arena, and I'm not even talking about that necessarily. I'm talking, that is a bad thing, but I think it's just as bad the perception of events, right?
Sure.
Somebody does X, and a bunch of people say it's fine, and a bunch of people say it's terrible, and then it's just noise, and no one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, right. No one's convinced of anything.
It's just debate.
We use our social media to show the world that we've made up our minds about something without having to really be considerate or thoughtful about it.
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion, and they else think.
Yeah. I know we sound like a couple of old cranky men right
Maybe we
now,
are.
and maybe we are. But when you watch a show like The West Wing, it's hard not to get there to think of what the potential of
What we
political
should be,
discourse,
what we could be.
what the possibility is, right? And to say like your words matter, your actions matter, and to be in a time where we live now, where I'm sorry, but it doesn't really feel like it does sometimes. People can do whatever they want, and the repercussions are some people are mad who would have been mad anyway, and some people are fine with it who would have been fine with it anyway. And that's it.
Well, even when we were kids, man, I feel like we all had this idea of Washington and the White House, and it was a place of nobility. It was something to aspire to.
Right.
Now it's
you can grow up to be president. Now it's like, no,
I don't
the
want
president.
that.
The president's just another reality TV star now to everybody.
But even now, it's like people are so turned off by it because of all the he said, she said.
It's gross.
This huge arena. Nobody wants that. It's not a place for grown-ups anymore.
Sure. It's not. That is it. It's not a place for grown-ups. And again, we're sounding like old men here, but for the people watching, tell me with a straight face that you can look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and look at her Twitter feed.
Or whoever.
They're a dime a dozen. Right. But she's the biggest example,
Sure.
I feel like. But she's not, you're right, she's not the only example. There are people on both sides that kind of do the same thing. So that's fair to say. But she is a perfect example. If you could look at her and say, this is a serious person trying to seriously be a leader for a serious country. You can't. You can't.
And I really doubt anybody in power is actually watching us. But if you are, on the off chance,
you're not, but sure.
Do us a favor. Please just take the high road, grow up a little bit, and do the right thing.
Right. Your Twitter presence is making the world a worse place.
It is.
All right, we'll catch you in the next one, guys.
See ya.